Please subscribe before watching the movie. Welcome back to Movies Recapped. Today I am going to explain a Chinese action film called Iron Protector. A martial arts expert named W. Lin is the successor of an ancient Chinese clan, the Iron Feed. He has come to a big city for the first time in years. Suddenly a group of gangsters in pursuit bumps into a kid and drops his ice cream to help him. W. Lin goes looking for the men and meets them in an alleyway. They have found the person they were chasing and are about to kill, with the excuse of getting the ice cream money back. Woolen stalls them for a while, but when they start getting aggressive, he doesn't hold back. He takes on a dozen gangsters on his own, showcasing great kung fu skills. By the end of the fight, he is the only one standing. The man whose life he saved is a wealthy businessman named Gihan. He offers him money, but Volin refuses to accept it. He then goes back to the child and gives him another cone of ice cream. Suddenly, many cars surround him from all sides. The leader of the opposite group comes out and hugs W in revealing that the two are good friends. He is a kung fu master and the owner of a security firm. Zhang Li. W. Lin and Zhang Li used to be disciples of the same master. They grew up and trained together before Jiang Li moved to the city to better his. He has earned a lot of money and fame over the years, but has forgotten his master's principles along the way. As they talk, we find out that Zhang Li didn't leave the village on his own. He made a huge mistake during a practice and was kicked out by his master. The master believed he was not worthy of being taught a sacred art like kung fu. Back in the present, Woolen brings out the master's ashes, revealing that he passed away. Zhang Li breaks down crying, still filled with love for his mentor. The next day, they go to Jiang Li's training center. While going through the security checkup, Woolen is asked to remove his shoes because they are made of metal jangle as the history behind them. So he allows him to come in without taking them. The businessman Gihan has come to Zhang Li to hire a bodyguard for his daughter. Zhang Li shows him the strength of his men, but Gihan shows interest in hiring. Volin agrees to do it since one of the master's teachings said the protector will do anything in his power to protect the employer. The next morning, Woolen meets Han's spoiled daughter Faith. The first meeting doesn't go as expected as a startled Faith drops her towel assuming he is an int. After finding out he is her new bodyguard, she offers him money to leave her alone. However, Volin is true to his principles, so a little amount of money won't change his decision as a last resort. Faith threatens him with a fake gun, but Volin doesn't react at all. Later that day, the two drive to the mall. Faith reluctantly walks around while he follows her everywhere. Then she notices a group of perverts bothering a girl. She confidently walks to the leader of the group, pulls a Will Smith, and slaps him in the face. When the man is agitated, she lies that Woolen asks her to do so. The thugs are about to beat up Woolen when he claims that he doesn't know who Faith even is. The plan bites her back when they believe, and start chasing her to teach her a lesson. Woolen watches in amusement as they make her run around the mall, but at last he decides to help her and makes the thugs apologize. At night, Woolen dreams of his father, throwing him off of a cliff. It turns out he has had the same experience in real life as well. When he was only 7 years old, his corrupt businessman father tried to kill. The reason is still unknown to Woolen, but he remembers his father said success requires sacrifice before throwing him off of a cliff. Then we are introduced to a gangster named Mr. Fu. He used to be Sean's employer but is now actively trying to kill him. Gihan has information about every criminal activity Fu has ever been a part of, hence the gangster wants him. As soon as possible, a trusted fortune teller claims that F's end is near. Although the man has been working for F for several decades, he shoots him dead because of the outrageous assumption. The next day, Volin and Fei go to a fancy restaurant. Fei enjoys the meal while Volin stands by her and keeps watch on everyone. Suddenly he holds a waitress down claiming that she is trying to harm Faith. An angered Faith rushes to the bathroom, but Volin barges in and forcefully brings her outside. On their way back home, they get into an altercation again. A bunch of men come to Faith's aid assuming that Volin is harassing her. She takes the opportunity to run away, but is then abducted by the waitress and waiter from. Woolen's intuition is proven correct, but he has no time to celebrate. He quickly follows the car and gets on top of it after jumping off of an overpass. However, he soon loses his grip and falls down the second time. He doesn't bother jumping on it, but faces it head-on after stopping it and fighting the mask kidnapper. He manages to run away with Fa. When they reach home, Faith asks him how he knew the waiter and waitress were one of the abductors. W. Lin replies that he has trained himself to learn body language. A person can lie, but their movement shows how nervous, excited, or angry they are. Faith also reveals that she has had several bodyguards growing up. She never had privacy and the freedom to do things as she liked. Hence, she started to hate all the bodyguards in. In the end, she adds that Woolen is not as bad as the other ones before going to bed. Faith looks at her family photo and cries over her late mother's memory somewhere else. The gangster F sends his right-hand man to Jiang Li. The man wants Jiang Li to help them kill Gihan. Although Jiang Li is skeptical, he agrees to help them. It turns out that when he first came to the city, Mr. Fu gave him a meal and helped him start the. In turn, the gangster uses the trained bodyguards for his own good, but Jiang Li feels too indebted to retaliate. The next day, Jiang Li and Woolen meet at a construction site. Jiang Li boasts about his knowledge of the real world that Woolen has no idea about. He thinks he is better than Woolen because he has connections with whom he maintains good relationships on being asked to stop protecting Faith. Woolen refuses for the first time in their lives. The brothers stand against each other. Jiang Li reveals that he is still bitter, that Woolen got the special boots and not him. Master always favored Woolen and thought he was a born fighter. Now that they have a chance, he wants to test who out of them is better. They get into a fist fight, but no one overpowers the other. Since they match in strength, a magic fist technique has always been Jiang Li's specialty. Using it, he punches Wu in on his chest and slams him to the wall. In the end, Jiang Li declares they are no longer brothers and walks away following the encounter. Woolen takes Faith to a secluded house by a beach. They spend their days practicing kung fu together. Lin reveals that the boots he wears are 25 kilos each. He has been wearing them for the past 8 years in an attempt to master a technique called the 108 kicks. When he takes the boots off, he will be stronger than. Lin has been watching Dragon Ball Z. Then one day, Jiang Li's people find out Lin and Fei's location. But Jiang Li knows that his trainees are not even close to Lin's expertise. He gives them large handcuffs to use in their favor during the fight. They attack at night when Lin is least expecting it. The couple runs into the woods, where Lin is busy fighting the intruders. Taking the opportunity, two of the gangsters kidnap Faith and bring her to a warehouse. Lin follows them, but accidentally sets foot in a trap with a handcuff tied to his already heavy leg. He has a hard time fighting. Still, he knocks out several men and gives them a difficult competition. In the end, they trap both of his legs and slam him into a wall. When he is weak, a man drags him to a field nearby. Jiang Li sees his former brother on the verge of death and feels a hint of pain, but he suppresses it with anger. He approaches Wu Lin and kills him with a final punch to his. They bury him in a pit before returning to their base. The rain keeps pouring heavily, turning the pit into a puddle. Suddenly Woolen crawls out of it, revealing that he is still alive. He was born with a heart on the right side of his chest, so the punch didn't do him much harm. With renewed motivation, Woolen returns home and takes off the metal boots. It causes him to master the 108 kicks technique. Then he changes his appearance and wears a suit. Before going to Jiang Li's training center, hundreds of his trainees who are guarding the place attack him, but now with 50 kilograms of weight off of his feet, Wu In is undefeatable. He only uses his hands for defense and knocks several of them out with his amazing footwork. In the end, he is the only one standing in the ring. Following the encounter, he confidently enters a room with Mr. Fu J. Li Faith and Gihan Fu asks him if he is not afraid to die, to which Lin replies that success requires sacrifice. Fu is shocked because he had said the same thing to his son before killing. Several years ago, Fu and Gihan worked together as partners, but one time Fu made Gihan get caught by the police, which in turn caused the death of his wife. Ever since then, Gihan has been looking to take revenge on Fu. Fu loved his son, Lin dearly, until one day he witnessed Volin chasing an animal. Just by staring at it, F's trusted fortune teller told him that his son would be the end of him in his career. That was the reason why he tried to kill Lin, even though he was just a kid. Fu laughs at his fate thinking that the fortune teller was right all along. He fires that Lin, but this time Jiang Li stops him. He is tired of being a pawn in Fu illegal activities. He claims that he wants to fight Volin and give him a chance to showcase the power of the 108 kicks. They get into yet another battle where Jiang Li has an upper hand because of the strength-magnifying gloves he is wearing. As the fight proceeds, Volin slowly starts to overpower him. But when Jiang Li is about to be defeated, Fu shoots him dead. With his final breath, he asks Volin to live on and maintain the legacy of the Iron Feet clan. Now only Volin and F are the ones left alive, seeing his death right in front of him. F tries to make amends with WN, but his attempt fails. Woolen launches at him ready to end his life, but decides otherwise. He has always fought fairly, and killing the opponent is against the masters. He doesn't want to swoop down to F's level, so he lets him be with his ruined business. In the last scene, we see Woolen spreading Zhang Li's ashes in the air. The moral of the story today is that fortune tellers are full of shit. Subscribe for more videos like this, turn on notifications and leave a like to help the channel out. Thank you for watching.